So I was thinking about what you said in regards to Hod and Netzach, how there's these two forms of prayer that we go back and forth on, and they're seemingly opposites. Where one being where we just thank Hashem for what we have, and we really don't want anything else. We're just very grateful for what we have, and the other where we beg Hashem like crazy to make changes in our life. Now, seemingly, these are direct opposites that don't actually complement each other. And Rav David said that a person who has like Emunah, for a person who has full Emunah, they aren't opposites. They're actually very connected and they complement each other. So I was trying to think, how could it possibly be that they complement each other? So I kind of had a Hiddush. I don't know if it's true. It's kind of just my own Hiddush, but there would need to be something that would bridge the gap, that would make Hod and Netzach connected in that way. And we go back and forth between these prayers, and it doesn't really make sense unless you think about a certain mindset you need to be in. So here's my Hiddush, basically. So how does it make sense between Hod and Netzach? We'll use the example of, let's say, money. So a person on the one hand will go, Hashem, I need money. If I don't get money, I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills. I need money, and he's begging Hashem to help him get money. On the other hand, he'll be saying, thank you, Hashem, I don't have money right now. I don't know why, but it's good for me. Thank you, I don't have money. And how are you going to really mean one without completely contradicting the other? You would, logically, you would need to, if you would completely, truthfully say one of these, the other one would have to contradict the other, and one of them would have to be a lie, basically. You're either very grateful you don't have money, and in which case you don't need more, you don't beg Hashem for more, or you're begging Hashem for money, in which case you don't really have gratitude that you don't have money. They would have to be the opposite. So full Emunah, apparently, would bridge the gap. So I don't really understand what that means. He just said if you have full Emunah, a person with real Emunah, these things are not going to be opposites for him. So I was thinking, how is that possible? Okay, so in the Sfirot, there are Hebrew letters basically representing these little bridges in between all the Sfirot. The Hebrew letter in between Hod and Netzach is actually a Mem, which is the gematria of 40. So that's the letter in between them, bridging that gap. So what's interesting is I realized that the mindset you would need to be in order for Netzach and Hod to make sense with each other is a mindset that Arizal reached at his pinnacle, and Rabbi Nachman reached at his pinnacle when he was sitting with all the students, Rabbi Nachman, and he said, I swear by everything, I know nothing. How's that possible? These people were masters in Torah, masters in Chassidut. How do you get to the point of knowing nothing? This is a deep secret in Kabbalah, that when a person reaches the pinnacle of his potential in Torah learning basically, he reaches the point of knowing nothing, so to speak, of I don't know anything, when he actually learned everything. So what is that actually? So, but if you think about it, if you have a mindset of my desire is all I want to do is get close to Hashem, and your mindset is I know nothing, then it kind of bridges the gap. So if all I want to do is get close to Hashem, then I'm going to thank Hashem, even though I don't know why that I don't have money, because that must be good for me. Everything Hashem does is for the good. So thank you, Hashem. I don't know why, but thank you, Hashem, I don't have money. But at the same time, I know nothing. So I was told that I need to make money in order that I can build a Jewish home, or give tzedakah, or do a lot of chesed, or do things that'll get me closer to Hashem, then that's what I need to do. But either way, I know nothing. So if you're in that mindset of I know nothing, that would actually theoretically bridge the gap if you're always in that mindset, because then either one would be true. If you're thinking, Hashem, I don't have money, why? Because I know nothing. Hashem knows everything. Then that's true. If you're begging to Hashem, you need money, because maybe you're meant to get it, and if you pray for it enough and you can use it to reach your potential, and I know nothing, so maybe that's what I need, then that would also be true. So that idea kind of bridges that gap. And what's interesting is that 40 represents the completion. It's 40 weeks to create a full person. Moshe spent 40 days and 40 nights on Mount Sinai, and that represents he learned all the Torah, so to speak, both the written and oral Torah. So he learned the whole Torah. In other words, he reached the absolute pinnacle of his Torah knowledge, which, as Arizal basically says, is knowing everything is equal to knowing nothing. That once you learn everything, you know nothing. So it would seem that the bridge in between these two is reaching one's full pinnacle of Torah learning. So the more you would learn Torah, the closer you would get to this full level of knowing nothing. And when you know nothing, we fully have that mindset, you have Emunah, which, in other words, because having Emunah is knowing nothing. You would need to know nothing in order to have full Emunah. The less you really know what's going on, the more you need to just believe. Because if I know to a certain degree, to that degree, I don't need to believe. I just know. And the degree I don't believe is the amount I just need. The degree I don't know is the amount I would need to believe. But if a person knows absolutely nothing, then he would need to have fully believe. Because it would just need to be something. You would need to have full belief. In other words, full Emunah. So knowing nothing would be full Emunah. That would bridge the gap. In order to know nothing, you would need to learn Torah. In other words, 40 days, 40 nights learning Torah, aka learning the whole Torah. This is your Torah learning. This is also why Rabbi Nachman also stressed, beyond just the field of Torah learning. It's very important. Obviously, they learned a lot of Torah. What's interesting is that if this bridge becomes full, try to learn Torah fully. In other words, that's what makes this bridge whole, is full Torah learning, aka getting to the point of knowing nothing. You get this bridge that makes these prayers make sense. You also get what Rabbi Nachman says, the system of pray, learn, pray, and back again, pray, learn, pray, and it goes back and forth like that. What's also interesting is everything in the Torah is very specific. Hashem didn't say, usually they say start off with nights and then days, but for some reason Hashem said 40 days and 40 nights. Day represents the written Torah, night represents the oral Torah. The written Torah is because represented by light. It's Torah, it's or. So that would be what we learn, what we know. In other words, I know that I need money. So I just learned that. Please Hashem, help me to get money. You learn it, and then you bring it into prayer. Please Hashem, help me to get money. Then you would go back into nights, aka you don't know what's going on, you don't see, aka you need Emunah. Emunah is represented by the night. In other words, Hashem, I don't know why I don't have money, but I'm going to be thankful for it. Thank you, Hashem. Because I don't know, I'm just going to say thank you. And you go back and forth like that, and that sort of bridges the gap, is days and nights. So, and what makes this full is the mem, 40. In other words, doing your 40 days, 40 nights, reaching your pinnacle of Torah learning. So, I mean, that kind of makes sense to make the full. It makes like this full sort of system that kind of just goes back and forth as you say thank you. I don't know why I don't have this thing, but thank you, and then more Torah learning, and then I learn. Oh, I need money, or I need this. You learn you need to give tzedakah. Oh, I need money to be able to give tzedakah. Help me, Hashem, to do this mitzvah. Help me. And you ask for what you need, and then it goes back again to learning, aka it ends with night. It always ends with nights. It was 40 days and 40 nights. So if it ends with nights, it always ends with Emunah. And that means although you learn what you need and you pray for it, you'll always go back and end with nights, aka at the end you don't know anything. At the aka it's night and you need Emunah. So it ends with I know the full pinnacle. It finished with night because it finishes with the idea of I know nothing, because it's nighttime. That's the full. That's why Torah learning is it wasn't accomplished. It could have started. It could have started on at night. Moshe could have started learning at night, and he would have finished on he would have done the 40 nights, and it would have finished on the 40th day. But it ended with a night. He finished at night, so it would need to finish off with Emunah. In other words, it finished off with I know nothing. So I guess that kind of bridges the gap. That sort of, so to speak, you would need. The both could be true if the more you work on your Torah, the more this becomes whole, the mem. The more you create this bridge in between the two, so when you pray for both, it becomes true. So I don't know what you guys think of this Kiddush. Let me know. Just something I thought of. I thought I'd make it a more visual for you guys. Let me know what you think.